Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Nice. Hi there and welcome to Entertainment Stock. James and Ben coming at you with a new video, and in this video we're going to give you our thoughts on the pilot episode of a very, very old British sort of comedy sitcom called Porridge. I say very old. It's about 1970s that it came out, but it's certainly one of our favourite shows and in our top fives. I think we both had it in our top fives,
Yeah.
did we, Ben?
At the end there, I was quite amazed, to be honest.
It was a bit strange, so we thought we'd watch the pilot and give our thoughts on the pilot. Well, we call it the pilot. Back then, they didn't so much have pilots. It was just the first episode in the series.
Back then, they just assumed that they had the best people, and they just put it straight to a full order.
Yep, greenlit, just like Netflix does.
Now they're worried that the people won't take to it, so they just make one episode and hope that people take to it.
If that was the case, we'd all just be watching pilots for the rest of our lives.
That's what we do. Watch these.
Well, that's what we did until Netflix started producing the series. Anyway, I'll give you a quick synopsis or a quick rundown of the pilot, and then we'll discuss it, Ben. So I'll just read it here. Like the old lag that he is, Fletch knows how to play the system and takes young first-timer Godber under his wing when they have to share a cell with the dim-witted Cyril Heslop. And so the cast is Ronnie Barker, who's Norman Stanley Fletcher, and Ronnie Barker is like a comedy legend in the UK, one part of the two Ronnies. You got Brian Wilde, who was Mr. Barrowclough, and I don't remember seeing him in much else. I'm sure he probably was. Fulton Mackay, oh, can you hear my dogs? Fulton Mackay, who played Mr. Mackay. Now, as we mentioned in our top fives, this guy is just on another level. And Richard Beckinsale, who plays Godber, and that's Kate Beckinsale's dad. And sadly, he's passed away a while ago, to be honest, quite a while ago. So, Ben, you've just watched it. Give me your thoughts.
I thought the show was, what I loved about the show was the fact that from today it had long scenes of just people talking.
Yeah.
There wasn't much going on, it was just people talking.
What would you call it? Exposition or dogs?
Yes, it was exposition, but it was done in a funny way that didn't feel like exposition.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Oh, just give me a second. Hello, Bob. Got my dog here. So where we see them at the start is they've just got into prison and they're waiting to get the medicals and they're waiting to get processed through before they actually get put in their cells and things like that. So they're going through the medical with a doctor, and because Ronnie Barker, who plays Fletcher, has been in so many prisons before, he's trying to tell Godber that he needs to mention that he's got flat feet so they get special shoes and special privileges. He needs to say that he's got all these sort of illnesses and things like that, and that there's ways to play the system to make your life more comfortable.
One joke I did notice was when he's also telling them to say that he's a Muslim so they can get better food, you know.
Well, yeah, so that's that sort of stuff where you're looking at what can I do to make my life better? Well, the food that they give everyone that just says they're Christian is just bog standard slop. So he doesn't even know what the food is that the Muslims eat, but he still wants it because he knows it's going to be better than the food that they're already getting.
But you can tell this is 60s because jokes like that are funny, but I don't think they were getting many shows like that today.
No, you're probably right. I mean, they'd probably, well, they definitely wouldn't go near Muslim food or anything like that, or anything with that religion, probably.
No matter when it is, if the joke's funny, and I like that because it was just basically said, it's what can I do to make my life easier, and if I have to say I'm a Muslim, I'll do it.
Well, I mean, it wasn't like they were being racist and saying Muslims get it easy. What they were, the joke was that any food is better than the food they're already getting. So if the only way they're going to get different type of food is if they say they're another religion, and that just happened to be the religion they were talking about.
I just thought that was a great joke because I thought it just sets up the kind of character that Fletch is.
Yeah.
In that one line about the shoes and his food.
He's wily, and this isn't his first rodeo.
But he doesn't seem bothered about it. Again, he's just that guy that's been in there for a long time. Well, not that prison, but in different prisons, and he's used to it.
He is, and Richard Beckinsale is this obviously Godber, is this new inmate. As I said, he's never been in jail before, and he's just kind of he's not so much confused, but he doesn't really get the magnitude of what's actually going on. So
No,
he tries to like spark up a cigarette whilst he was waiting, and Mr. Mackay gets straight onto him.
Mr. Mackay is like this. He almost runs his prison like
He's like a sergeant major.
yes, like the military does.
He's like an army sergeant major, and his word is the rule of law,
Yes,
and whatever he says goes. And the way he addresses them is like a sergeant major addressing like a recruit.
yes,
And you can imagine Godber being this lance corporal that he wants, and he's like, "So tell him what we do now, Fletcher." And
yes,
Fletcher just reels off the list of exactly what happens, because it's the same in every single prison. Doesn't matter which prison he's been in. And the realization kind of starts creeping in. Which is really well played by Richard Beckinsale in
yes,
with Godber. As the episode goes on, the realization that he's losing all his privileges that he would have on the outside is just creeps in and really
yes.
hits him towards the end of the episode.
There was one line in that parade where they come through the rules and Mackay goes midday bang up.
Midday.
You can see Richard. You can see Gobber's face.
Yeah, and Fletcher's like, yeah, don't get too excited.
Yeah, I just love that line.
It means we're getting locked up.
That was it was just a look on his face.
There's a lot of good little lines in that.
They're also joined by this character that's a bit slow.
Yeah, so and his character is ex-army by the looks of it.
Yeah,
The way he comes to attention, things like that. But yeah, so he's not quite the full shilling, we'll say.
Hislop.
Hislop, and it's like it's really good. It's a really good sort of comedy, almost like a physical comedy gag, where every joke that Fletcher says,
Yeah.
he'll laugh at it about maybe 2 minutes later or a minute later.
It can take like 2.5 minutes for it to sink in.
But the rest of the episode's moved on by that point,
yes.
which is really good. So it's almost like it's a time delay, and
Yes.
it just brings you back to that joke and drives home how funny
And
the
then
joke is.
Fletcher and Gobber are having, just a basic conversation, and suddenly they're interrupted by, by this person.
Yeah.
Who's just got the joke that Fletcher said, like,
And he's cackling his head off.
yes.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Now I think that was really clever. So they eventually all get put in the same cell.
They do.
Initially, and so then Fletch starts trying to work his way into the best job in the prison, and also he wants his own cell.
Well, he's telling Gobber this in what I thought was the best scene of the. It was just like a 6 minute scene, as if it wasn't cut, as if it was continuous, just of them sitting there having their first meal in the prison, and Fletcher's giving Gobber the kind of things that he thinks that he's going to get like a single cell. And
Yeah, because he thinks he's going to get privileges because he's an old sweat.
yeah.
Whereas he's obviously not met Mr. Mackay before.
No, he thinks he's going to get all these privileges, but then by the end of the episode, it all starts going wrong for him.
Well, he tries to work it so that he finds out that the governor's really into tropical fish, and
yeah,
he pretends that he's really into animals and the welfare of animals and things like that to get on the governor's good side.
he gets this information from the medical doctor who we didn't mention in the first scene, where this guy is very. If you think of a 60s doctor in a sitcom, you think of this bloke.
He looks more ill than the patients.
He comes in coughing, sputtering.
Yeah.
Also.
And he's complaining that he spends more time being a vet than a doctor to the governor's pets.
He said the only pills I've got in my bag are pills for pets.
And for pigs and dogs. So he finds. So as I said, Fletch does all this, worms his way into the governor's good books, and to the fact that he thinks he likes animals and things, but it all backfires towards the end of the episode when Mr. Mackay's coming in and he's giving out jobs to the three new inmates, and he gives Heslop the librarian job, which
and he's furious.
Fletch would have really, really liked. And he's like, well, he can't even read. And he's like, oh, I've read a book once.
Green it was.
Green it was.
Library? He's illiterate, look here.
I read a book once. Green it was.
Green it was. Listen, why?
So, and he's like, oh, green it was. Oh, brilliant. Oh, fantastic. And what job's Godber got? And Godber's got the chef working in the cookhouse, and which he's furious at as well because he'll get extra rations. So then he's thinking, well, and then Mr. Mackay like sidles up to me and goes, wow, you're the governor's blue-eyed boy, aren't you? And he's like, oh, nice one. So he starts to think that, oh, maybe I'm getting a really good job. And he's like, special privileges. He starts doing this hand movement. And they both just have this back and forth where he goes, special privileges? And he's like, yeah, special privileges.
What was nice was the fact that Mackay is onto Fletcher, because in the governor's office in the scene beforehand, he's explaining to the governor that when he was trying to get into his good books, he's obviously got information from Barraclough.
Oh, no, it's from the doctor that the fish has got fin rot.
Yeah, but he also got this pamphlet from
Oh yeah, from Mr. Barclough on a book, Tropical Fish.
Yeah, so Mackay knows straight away that Fletcher somehow managed to
He smells a rat, doesn't he?
he smells a rat, and he's the only one that is on to Fletcher.
Yeah, so this is obviously not Mackay's first rodeo with this type of inmate. So he's obviously had a word with the governor to give it to basically stitch. He's not told the governor that he's stitching Fletcher up, but he knows that he is stitching Fletcher up. And this special privileges job turns out to be mucking out the pigs in the prison farm. So Fletch isn't very happy about that, and that's I think we end while he's slopping out the pigs, don't we?
There was one guy we didn't mention, and that was Barraclough. His character, basically in the pilot, is he's more nicer than Mackay. He's like the softer guy, so they think they can.
Well, they think they can work him, don't they? So there's two juxtapositions. There's a massive contrast between the two prison officers. You've got Mr. Mackay, who's like your army sergeant major, and then you've got Mr. Barraclough, who's like the softest, easiest prison officer in the world that they can manipulate.
And I just love Barraclough because his role in the pilot and throughout the series is just to help prisoners.
Yeah.
He thinks if he's nice to them, they'll be nice to him, and they can all get along.
He just wants an easy life, doesn't he?
That's his role.
He wants an easy life in prison, and he doesn't want any aggro because he doesn't do well with conflict. That's his sort of character. He's a prison officer that can't deal with conflict very well. And
then the last character that we should probably mention is Mr. Venables, the governor.
Yes.
This guy's an idiot. Again, he's more like a PR guy. You know, he comes across as like a guy that wants, again, an easy life, doesn't want any trouble. No, nothing.
Well, yeah. So, and it's the same. I think it's the same governor that they keep, isn't it, throughout the whole series? He's just a really bit of a wet blanket, to be honest. Yeah. He's a bit like Mr. Barraclough in the fact that he doesn't want any conflict. He just wants a really relaxed, easy life. Ideally, he wouldn't be the prison governor.
No, it comes across as if he hates the job. It's like, no, he hates it, but really doesn't suit him.
It's a burden for him, and he really relies on Mr. Mackay to keep everyone in check in the prison, doesn't he?
He reminds me of a guy that would want to go home and watch cricket on the TV, you know.
I think he'd prefer to do that than be in that prison.
Yeah.
He really doesn't like talking to any of the prisoners. It's a real imposition.
And again, just the way Fletcher managed to manipulate him showed you his character and what he's going to be like for the rest of the series.
Yeah, real soft touch. So, what did you think of the characters themselves? As in Fletcher and Godber?
I thought Fletcher was very good as Ronnie Barker always is in anything he does. I thought Fletcher was great, but I thought the MVP of this episode was Heslop.
Did you?
I forgot about him completely.
That's because you don't see much of him in future episodes, to be honest.
And I thought his role of just the comic timing of just being able to get a joke. 2 minutes later, I thought that was brilliant.
It was really, really clever, and I think he did a. You're right. He did a great job. Richard Beckinsale's always excellent as Godber, and as I said, this is the first kind of episode where you meet him. So he's just finding his character a little bit, but Fletch is already pretty much fully formed in this episode.
Fletcher is fully formed because he never changes.
No, so you've got Fletcher, Mr. Mackay, and Barraclough. That all three of them have pretty much 100%. That is their character going on throughout the rest of the series, and they just hit the ground running. And that's testament to those actors that they knew their characters straight away.
But you're right, Richard Beckinsale, he's the Godber, but he's not the same person we know.
And I suppose that's probably to do with the fact maybe he was playing him as a guy that's just got into prison, and he is just ropes, and he isn't fully aware of his surroundings or everything. He's quite unsure. So well played by everyone. And again, it's just that's the sort of show that it is, where everyone is excellent from the get-go.
But it's a show that if you're looking for lots of things going on, you're not going to get it because it's more like a play, as I say. It's more like just long scenes of people talking.
Yeah, so if you've got attention deficit disorder, this isn't going to be the show for you, because there's not enough changing. You're right. It's long scenes, long exposition from the guys, lots of talking segments, not much action or anything like that. It's all because not much is going on in the prison, to be honest.
No, that's one thing that I didn't know. Again, that's why nobody questioned it. But there doesn't actually seem to be that many people around.
And they get loads more in the next couple of episodes. As the series goes on, there is loads more people. But yeah, the prison's almost dead if you look at it from this. So I definitely recommend it. As I said, it's one of our top fives, both of our top fives. And you can find it on Netflix here in the UK. So if you're watching this in America, you could pick it up you get a VPN and then move over to UK Netflix if it's not on the BBC. If the BBC haven't put it up on US Netflix yet, who knows?
Or just Google it.
Probably on YouTube, to be honest. There's probably
there's always a site out there that's got it, but I really recommend that you try this out.
So if you're a fan of that sort of 70s British comedy, and I'm only a fan of a few of them, but this is definitely one of them, and they usually all involve Ronnie Barker for me. So anything with Ronnie Barker in it was excellent. Definitely recommend from us at Entertainment Stop. Any other points for the show, Ben?
No, I think we covered it all.
Okay, so if you like this video and you like the show itself, I'm talking about Porridge, give this video a thumbs up and think about subscribing to the channel for future content like this. Ring the bell so that you get notifications for any future content. And where can people find you, Ben?
At Ironside 1982.
At Ironside 1982. And they can find me at James Allen Yo on Twitter. If you've not got anything else, Ben?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.